Hello and welcome back to my list. Let's crack straight on. 33 then. WWF Smackdown 2 Know Your Role on the PSX 2000. And now this game is on here because this is the first Smackdown game I actually played. I didn't play any before this, and there was only one anyway. And apparently this was just kind of a remake of that one, so it's pretty good that I didn't. So yeah, this is the game that shaped all wrestling games for me. I did play a couple before that, WWE Raw is War actually, and WWF In Your House. Now that one was kind of different and it probably got me honourable mentions actually, but this one was the first of this series that I played, and this series is all over this list like a virus, and I've probably already told you why for the many reasons, but this introduced me to that series. You know, everyone was playing it at the time. Actually everyone had already played Smackdown 1 and I was kind of late on this train, you know what I mean, so I nearly missed it, but I didn't, and that's why it's here. So at 32 we got Fear Effect on the PSX or PlayStation 1. This came out in 1999 and it was one of those games that was very unique at the time. You know, there wasn't much else, you know, like it. It was a bit similar to Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2, but the whole thing that struck me about this game is like your health is integrated with your fear, so it makes it sort of really engaging, and you know it probably gets really hard when you run out of bullets or you get attacked and stuff like that. It all adds up, and you know it can get quite stressful at times, and I don't think I ever got through this game. I did really enjoy it though. Remember the towel part? Everybody remembers the towel part who played the game. But yeah, it was just one of those satisfying experiences on the PlayStation 1 that I had back in the day, and it had my favourite sort of broken sword graphics on top of a Resident Evil style gameplay, which was well done, and I'm going to get round to playing number 2 eventually, I promise. So yeah, next game. So at 31 then, we got WWE Smackdown vs Raw that came out on the PS2 in 2004. Now Smackdown vs Raw is it's the first of the Versus games, and it was one of the best of all time because it was just progressing in the direction that we all wanted the game to go. You know, the menu screens, they were looking more like the TV show now, and I remember at the start of the matches you had to do these little mini games like a stare down or something like that, which at the time I didn't really like, but looking back now it's quite a nice touch on the game. And we also had a major update on the Royal Rumble with the ring out meter as well. You couldn't just eliminate people straight away now, you sort of had to wear down their little meter, and that was a cool addition. It regressed a little bit in the sense of backstage areas. There was only sort of a couple, and one was an actual match type, but it was a really interactive match type. There was nothing else like it at the time, and you could slam their head in cars and jump off the 18-wheeler, so it had a lot of new features like that as well. And it also had the Create a Championship mode, where you could actually spend a long time creating your belt and then lose it to your mate who takes it away to his house on his memory card, and you never get it back. So that was fun and an interesting concept into the type of game it was. So yeah, that's wrestling for you, and maybe not the last one. So then at number 30, we are 2/3 of the way there now, so that's cool. We've got Athens 2004, which came out on the PS2 in 2004. One of the only sports games that actually came out in the year it says, actually. Usually they come out the year earlier. But anyways, Athens was one of those games that I was fucking awesome at. I don't know why. I've just got these super fast thumbs and fingers that could just work that game. I was setting all kinds of world records and Olympic records with my friends. We used to do the whole Olympic challenge that used to take ages, and you come away aching from that game like you actually were in the Olympics. I remember that so much. It's one of it's the best type of game that it is. You know, track and field came close, and none of the other sort of Olympics games that have been released since then have been as good, I don't think. Yeah, they look a lot better now, but that just had this pure arcade button mashing you know, proper feel to the game that none of the other ones have had. And I particularly liked, you know, the shooting events and the archery, and both the men's and women's gym events. Actually, they were very different from each other, but it doesn't matter, men or women Olympics, I would smash anyone at that, and I don't care. I haven't played it in a long time, but I still reckon I can do it, because all you do is smash the buttons, isn't you? So at number 29 then, we've got Resident Evil 2 on the PSX or PS1, which came out in 1998. Now, the reason that Resident Evil 2 is the best out of all the Resident Evils is because it had Claire A and Claire B and Leon A and Leon B. Now, replay value is something I treasure in games, because a lot of them nowadays you'll complete and you'll never go back to, and this wasn't one of those games. This was a game where, you know, you complete it and you're like, right, I know what I'm doing now, I've got my confidence, I'm still going to go. Shits the life out of you again, but you're still, you know, you're good this time, so you get through it again and again and again. And it introduced new game modes as well, this game, like the hunk mode, and the tofu weird thing that I was no good at. My friend Dale used to be good at both of those modes, and he was actually awesome at just running through the game on A and B, either character. But I especially just like playing A and B as Claire and Leon, because they were just really good story. You know, it was in the police station this time. It's a little bit different than being locked in a mansion. The levels were bigger, you know, everything was just bigger and better by Resident Evil standard, and that's why it's so high on this list. So at 28 then, we've got Endgame, which came out on the PS2 in 2002. Now Endgame's another one of those Time Crisis clones that was actually quite good. You know, the mechanics were very similar: shoot outside the screen to reload, and you get the little sort of timer when someone's about to shoot you. But it was a lot harder, and again, it was a lot more adult. And I preferred it to Time Crisis quite a lot, and I played it over and over again. You could also play it 1 and 2 player, so you know, it's always better playing with a friend. But what I liked most about the game is when you completed it in your 1 player mode, you get to go 2 gun mode. So it's like 1 player but with 2 light guns at the same time, and that felt to me like I was some action hero in the movie. So I used to go through that game over and over and over. I must have spent a good 100 hours playing this game, and you know, probably 100 hours amongst the other light gun games, but this one I spent the most on, and that's why it's the best, and that's why it's so high on this list, because it's a fucking great game. And if you've never heard of it and never played it, and you've got a PS2 laying around, then I suggest you go and get it, you know, because it's good, and you can even play it with a controller. It's not as good with a controller, but you know, just that experience. Go back and try it if you can. 27 then, Broken Sword 2, The Smoking Mirror on the PSX in 1997. Now, this game was so special because it just took what I loved already, you know, the first game, and just made another one. It didn't have any sort of amazing new mechanics or anything like that, you know, everything was just like the same as the first one, but it was just so you could play as these guys again that you fell in love with from the first game, and that was what's so special about it. There's not really much else I can say about Broken Sword 2 that I haven't already said. You know, the graphics were, you know, that same style with the looping movie backgrounds, that was just cool. So yeah, it was an amazing sequel, and that's why it's going so high on this list, because I've played a shit out of it as well. So yeah, moving on quickly then. Number 26 then is Borderlands 2. Now this came out on the PS3 in 2012, and it was one of those games that really amazed me actually. I'd never really played anything like it, in a sense of where it was an RPG and a first-person shooter, so that was really cool. And like I said before in this series of videos, I'm not really into first-person shooter games, so they've got to be really something special to make it to this list even, you know. And what I liked about Borderlands was that you could invite your friend into your game or go into his game and carry on, and once you do the story, you know, once you complete the game, you know, you can turn up the difficulty setting, do it again on some hardcore mode, I forgot what it was called now, and then do that again as well, so it got even harder. And as you added more friends into the game, you know, it got even harder. So you had to really work as a team to try and beat these levels that you smashed through on a single player run the first time. So it was really interesting concept, and I never played Borderlands 1, so Borderlands 2 was the first one I played. And another interesting thing about this game actually was I didn't directly pay for this game. It was another one of those games that came through the PlayStation Plus again, when Sony were giving away good games all the time. So it was, I'm really sort of thankful for this game, because I don't think I would have went out and bought it myself, it being a first person shooter and all. So yeah, check it out if you haven't, or play the new one, the pre-sequel. I sort of spent 5 minutes on that, but you know, I'm trying to get through a backlog of games at the minute. So yeah, give Borderlands 2 a try if you haven't. You can probably pick it up for really cheap now, but it's really cool if you like that multiplayer aspect of things. Anyways, moving on. So moving on to the powerhouses then, we're in the final quarter. At number 25 we've got Red Card. This came out on the PS2 in 2002. Now I remember this game a lot and playing it a lot, because it was just one of those football games that was the most gimmicky that I've ever played actually. I think that's what I like about when I play a football game. I like it to be sort of a bit gimmicky and, you know, a bit arcadey. I don't like these simulated versions, and this was a perfect example of that. It had like a team of dolphins and a SWAT team and things like that, and it was a very unique game in the sense of like the season mode was like you take on the whole world, you have to do every team, and it was separated into different continents, and it was really hard because some of the, you know, the better teams in the world, like England, Germany, you know, Spain, Brazil, they were all set at the super hard difficulty. So you had to try and beat these good teams that were actually playing on the screen even better than the worse teams. So that was a really cool effect. I didn't get past the alien team at the end. I couldn't beat it. I'm going to find a video on YouTube of somebody beating that team actually, because I tried and tried and tried, and I just couldn't get past that team. But it was lightly customizable again, this game as well a little bit. You could sort of change the names of the players and stuff. And one of the players on the England team looked a bit like me as well, so that helped quite a bit in making the experience a little bit more real, instead of having player 1, player 2 and things like that all over the place. And the special moves and the tackles and stuff that you could do, it was so cool. Anyone who's not played this game and likes a bit of fun arcade style football games, give this one a go, because this is the best one. It's better than any FIFA, and it was on par, you know, with FIFA at the time, I reckon, with the way it played and the graphical look of the game as well. So yeah, give it a go. Okay, so 24, we got Killer Instinct on the SNES, which came out in 1995. Now this game I spent hours and hours and hours on, and it was one of the only games that I first saw in the arcade that I saw people putting their money down saying I'm next on this game. I was like, whoa, what's so good about this game? And it was the combos that you could do. Neither Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat had mastered that yet, and this game just comes out of nowhere and smashes them out of the water with them ultra combos that you could do. It was brilliant. Everybody was so unique in the game with the combos that he could do. I think my favourites probably TJ Combo, Orchid and Jago most of all actually, yeah, and it just had an awesome soundtrack to go with it, which reminds me actually, when you bought the game it come with a CD with all the tunes from the levels in it, which is really cool. It's a nice little addition. There's only a couple of good tracks on there really, the Jago one and maybe the Orchid one too as well, if you like that sort of thing. But yeah, I wish I still had that CD now. I don't know where it went. Come in a little cardboard case. But yeah, that's that game in a wrap. It was really fucking good. It kicked Street Fighter's ass and it kicked Mortal Kombat's ass as well. So that about wraps up this portion of the video. I will see you next time, because that's my phone going off.